Have you ever looked at your investments and just wondered, is this a solid, well-designed house, or is it just a random pile of bricks? Well, today we're going to grab our hard hats and act as the architect for your financial future, showing you, step by step, how to build a portfolio that's made to last. Here's our game plan for the build. We're going to start by laying the foundation, really getting the difference between saving and investing. Then we'll draft the all-important blueprint, your investment policy statement. After that, it's construction time with asset allocation, followed by essential maintenance and risk management. And finally, we'll do the final inspection to see how we did. Okay, let's get to it. Before you can build anything, you have to know the ground you're working with, right? For us, that means we need to get crystal clear on the huge difference between just stashing money away and actually investing it. Think of it like this. Saving? That's just putting off spending. It's the money you've earned that you haven't used yet. It's kind of passive. But investing? That's a whole different ballgame. Investing is when you take those savings and you actively put them to work, hoping to turn them into more money down the line. And this brings us to a really crucial point. Every single investor is a saver to begin with, but not every saver becomes an investor. See, investing is a choice. It's that conscious decision to take your savings and use them to actively build your wealth. All right, foundation's poured. Now for maybe the most important part of any build, the architectural plans. You wouldn't build a house without a blueprint, and in finance, that blueprint has a name, the Investment Policy Statement, or just IPS. The whole process really breaks down into 3 simple stages. You've got the planning stage, that's where you create your IPS, then comes the execution stage, where you actually build the thing, and finally, the feedback stage, where you check in on how it's all going. But notice, everything, and I mean everything, flows from that very first plan. This quote right here just nails it. I mean, think about it. Would you ever let a construction crew just show up and start winging it on your new house? No way! The IPS is your blueprint. It's the roadmap that not only tells you where to go, but more importantly, it stops you from making those crazy, emotional decisions when things get bumpy. So what exactly goes into this blueprint? Well, what's so cool about the IPS is that it captures both sides of your financial world. On one side, you've got your objectives, what you're dreaming of, your return goals and how much risk you can stomach. And on the other side, you've got your constraints, the real-world stuff you have to deal with, like your time horizon, your tax situation, all those unique personal details. Okay, blueprint in hand, it's time to start the actual build. Now, just like a house needs different materials, brick, wood, glass, concrete, a solid portfolio needs a mix of different financial materials, or what we call asset classes. And this is what we call strategic asset allocation. It's the long-term, big-picture mix of how you divide your money. Maybe you put a big chunk in equities, like stocks, some in fixed income, like bonds, and a little slice in alternatives, like real estate. This mix is the fundamental structure of your financial house. But, and this is key, that mix isn't just a random guess. It's not just thrown together. Your strategic asset allocation is a direct result of that IPS we just talked about. It's the exact blend of materials that your personal blueprint calls for to get the job done right. Now, once you've decided on your materials, how do you actually pick them? Well, you've got 2 main construction methods. Think of passive management like buying a really high-quality, beautiful, prefabricated home. You're just trying to match the market. Active management, on the other hand, is like getting a fully custom-built house, where you're trying to use skill and research to create something even better than the market average. So, the house is built. Fantastic. But we all know the job isn't over, right? A house needs maintenance. You've got to protect it from storms, from wear and tear. Well, guess what? Your portfolio is exactly the same. It needs constant risk management to keep it safe and sound. And the absolute cornerstone of risk management is diversification. You've heard it a million times. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. And it's true. By owning a bunch of different things, you make sure that if one thing goes wrong, it doesn't bring the whole house down. It's financial weatherproofing. Now, it's super important to know there are 2 kinds of financial weather out there. There's market risk. Think of this like a massive hurricane that hits the entire town. It affects almost everything. Then there's non-market risk. This is more like a single tree falling on your specific house. It's a problem that's unique to one company or one industry. And here is the single most important thing to get about this. Diversification is an absolute superhero when it comes to those falling tree risks. If you own lots of different stocks, one of them failing won't crush you. But, and this is a big but, It can't protect you from the hurricane of market risk that drags everything down together. All right, some time has passed. The portfolio has been through a few seasons. Now it's time for the final inspection. We've got to ask the tough question. Did the thing we designed and built actually do what we wanted it to do? Did it follow the blueprint? Which really brings it all down to one simple, powerful question. How do you even know if you did a good job? How do you measure success in the world of investing? The answer is something called a benchmark. A benchmark is basically your standard for comparison. It's usually a market index, like the Nifty 50. It's like the model home you compare your custom build against. It's the only way to do a real apples-to-apples comparison and see if all your decisions actually made a positive difference. And this leads us to what might be the most grown-up concept in all of finance. Look, a skyscraper is pretty impressive, right? But not if its foundation is riddled with cracks. A high return is awesome, but not if you had to risk losing everything to get it. True performance, a truly successful build, is always about looking at both sides of the coin, the return you got and the risk you took. And that leaves us with one final thought to chew on. At the end of the day, anyone can go out and buy a random collection of stuff. That's not a portfolio, that's just a pile of bricks. But a disciplined process, the planning, the building, the constant checking in, that's what transforms that pile of bricks into a structure built to last, a portfolio truly designed for your future.